This is not a skyscraper. What you're looking at is the opposite. A 65-story building that doesn't reach toward the sky. It vanishes into the ground. Imagine a tower flipped upside down and carved straight into the earth like a giant hidden pyramid. And as unbelievable as it sounds, this could be the way millions of people live in the near future. This is an Earthscraper. Now picture this. One of the world's most iconic cities, one of the most photographed places on Earth, Paris. The romance, the architecture, the history, you already know all that. But here's what most people don't realize. Owning a home here is almost impossible for the average family. The prices? Astronomical. You're looking at roughly $1,000 to $1,500 per square foot in many central areas. A standard 500 square foot apartment, smaller than a typical American two-car garage, can cost around $700,000 depending on the neighborhood. Here's the part that surprises many. Around 20 to 25% of apartments in Paris are empty, completely unused, yet the city is packed. About 21,000 people per square kilometer, and even professionals earning solid incomes struggle to afford a small rental. There's a reason you don't see glass towers or modern skyscrapers piercing Paris's skyline. Strict regulations protect the city's historical character. You can't build a 40-story tower near the Eiffel Tower because, well, Paris wouldn't look like Paris anymore. So land becomes incredibly expensive, space turns into a luxury, and millions get priced out. And Paris isn't unique. This trend is hitting London, Barcelona, Munich, Stockholm, and basically any major global city where demand is exploding but vertical expansion is limited. Prices keep climbing, families cut budgets, take extra jobs, and squeeze into tiny apartments, all just to keep a roof over their heads.
I started to feel the price is going up in just a few months.
156 euros last month, and that is as much as we spend on food for 2 weeks. So we have to make sacrifices elsewhere. We never go to restaurants, and we don't buy biscuits or sweets for the children.
I've had to take on a second job.
My family, my 1-year-old baby, we're facing homelessness and we've got nowhere to go.
For me, it's not easy.
Even Tokyo, one of the world's most advanced cities, struggles to handle extreme crowding. If you've seen videos of the pushers in Tokyo trains, workers who literally shove people into carriages so the doors can close, that's everyday life. If all that sounds like a global disaster, you're right. The United Nations reports that over 1.6 billion people worldwide live in inadequate housing or slums, and with urban populations expected to grow by another 2.5 billion by 2050, cities are about to become even more crowded. Land is limited, space is scarce. So the question becomes, if we can't build upward and we can't expand outward, where do we go? Back in 2009, one city faced that exact problem and proposed something no one had ever tried. Not a skyscraper, but an Earthscraper. This is Mexico City. At its heart lies Zocalo Square, a massive open plaza, 240 meters by 240 meters. Historically priceless, culturally sacred, politically central. You can't build a skyscraper above it because it would destroy the character of one of Mexico's most cherished landmarks. And you can't expand sideways because the city is already bursting with people. But beneath this square, literally under the ground, lie remains of the ancient Aztec civilization. The foundations of their temples, their homes, their history, which makes construction even more challenging. So the question was, how can you house thousands more people in a city where above-ground expansion is impossible? Then came a completely wild idea from architect Esteban Suarez, founder of BNKR Arquitectura. He said, if we can't build upward, why not build downward? Not a basement, not a bunker. A 65-story inverted pyramid, descending 300 meters into the earth. When I first saw the original concept model, I had the same reaction as you're probably having now. This is either genius or impossible. Imagine walking across Zocalo Square on a normal day. People chatting, pigeons flying, tourists taking photos, and underneath your feet lies an entire vertical city. That's the Earthscraper model. The top surface looks like just another open plaza, but in reality, that floor is made of reinforced glass, allowing sunlight to plunge all the way down a giant open shaft called a light well. Every floor slopes downward around that hollow, letting natural light reach the deepest levels. On the sides of this inverted pyramid lie the residential and commercial areas, green lobbies, offices, apartments, cultural spaces, everything arranged in layers descending beneath the earth like an ancient temple turned futuristic city. The first 10 floors would be museums and archaeological exhibits, housing Aztec artifacts discovered during excavation, not only preserving history, but showcasing it deeper underground, where it originally existed. Suarez believed this could solve two problems simultaneously: preserve the surface and historical heritage, create massive new living space underground. And if the prototype succeeded, his team imagined not just one Earthscraper, but an entire network of underground urban structures, interconnected cities stacked beneath our feet. Think about what that means. Imagine traffic disappearing from surface roads because underground transit connects everything. Imagine no more 45-minute drives for a 5-kilometer commute. Cities could expand vertically downward for centuries without touching the skyline. But there's a big but. No one had ever built anything like this before. Has the world ever constructed a livable building 300 meters deep? Do we even have the engineering capacity to handle pressure, temperature, water, earthquakes, all beneath the ground? Well, here's where everything gets interesting. Because humans have already built massive underground cities, and not recently, thousands of years ago. Let's travel back to ancient Turkey. In 1963, in the region of Cappadocia, workers renovating a house accidentally broke through a wall, only to reveal an entrance into something massive. Behind that wall wasn't a small basement, it was an entire underground city, stretching down 18 stories vertically. And that was just the beginning. As excavations continued, they discovered not one underground city, but a network of 200 connected underground towns, big enough to shelter entire populations. The largest one, Derinkuyu, could house 20,000 people at once, deep underground. It had kitchens, halls, schools, stables, religious rooms, ventilation shafts, water storage, everything, completely hidden, completely functional, and entirely carved by hand thousands of years ago. You can watch travel vloggers walking through these tunnels, descending hundreds of feet. Your mind will blown. Long winding staircases, giant circular stone doors, entire corridors stretching endlessly. A fully engineered underground world created by ancient people with tools nowhere near as advanced as ours. Then think about this. If ancient civilizations with primitive technology could build multi-layered underground cities, what stops modern engineering from doing it bigger, deeper, and smarter? Let's move from ancient Turkey to modern Finland. Finland is consistently ranked the happiest country on Earth. And while many people credit education, nature, or social systems, there's a hidden factor most outsiders don't know. Finland has a massive underground city beneath its capital Helsinki. Yes, right under the streets, malls, offices, and cafes exists a 15-story deep network spanning nearly 300 kilometers. Underground roads, railways, emergency shelters, sports facilities, swimming pools, even ice hockey arenas. Entire districts are hidden beneath the surface. And here's the crazy part. It's designed so that at any moment, more than 1.5 times the population of Helsinki can move underground and live comfortably for months, protected from external threats. This entire system started in the Cold War era to defend against possible Soviet attacks. But eventually, Finland realized something valuable. Building underground frees up land, reduces traffic, and protects important infrastructure. Today, they're expanding this underground world intentionally, moving heating systems, data centers, sewage facilities, and even shopping areas below the surface. They've essentially opened a second dimension for their city, and Finland isn't alone. Japan, possibly the most disaster-prone developed country in the world, is also decades ahead in underground engineering. Look at the Tokyo's waterways. Over 100 rivers and canals crisscross the city, and a huge portion of its land lies below sea level. Every major typhoon brings a risk of catastrophic flooding. Japan has lost billions over the decades to destructive floods. So in 1992, they did something nobody else dared to attempt. They started building the world's largest underground drainage system. It's called GCANS, and it is a megastructure, 5 enormous vertical shafts, each big enough to swallow a jetliner, capture excess water when rivers overflow. Underground tunnels carry that water to a gigantic reservoir the size of 2 football fields. This chamber is supported by 59 concrete pillars, each weighing 500 tons. And once the flooding subsides, gigantic turbines pump the water into the Edo River and out to Tokyo Bay. Without this system, Tokyo would face massive flooding almost every year. With it, they now prevent 80 to 90% of major floods. Japan proved once again that when extreme problems appear, extreme engineering can solve them. So the question becomes, if ancient people built underground cities, if Finland built underground networks, if Japan built massive underground flood systems, why hasn't Mexico City built the Earthscraper? The answer isn't simple. It's a mix of geology, engineering limits, safety, and politics. Let's look at the biggest obstacles. Mexico City is built on soft, water-absorbing clay, once the bed of a shallow lake. That means the soil sinks, shifts, and compresses. You can't just dig a giant hole and build downward. The walls would collapse inward due to lateral earth pressure, the same force that crushed the world's deepest boreholes, even at 15 kilometers. Second, water pressure increases dramatically as you go down. At 300 meters depth, the structure would face enormous outward and inward pressures. Third, Mexico is earthquake-prone. Powerful quakes have devastated the city repeatedly. So a giant underground structure must not only survive surface shaking, it must avoid amplifying the movement underground. And fourth, there's public perception. Building a project this radical under one of Mexico's most sacred squares opens huge debates about heritage, identity, and safety. But engineering-wise, can it be done? Conceptually, yes. Let's break down the approach. Construction would start by securing the perimeter. Instead of digging a giant open cavity, engineers would build thick diaphragm walls, angled inward, forming the outer frame of the inverted pyramid. This prevents soil collapse and stops water from rushing in. Next, deep foundation piles, strong concrete cylinders, would be drilled hundreds of meters down into bedrock. These piles act like the bones of the structure. They support the floors that will be constructed downward. Then comes the interesting part. Instead of building from the bottom up like a normal skyscraper, the construction would proceed from the top down. Engineers construct floors downward one level at a time. For example, build the ground floor, dig beneath it, add the next floor, dig again, add the next, repeating layer by layer, like peeling an onion in reverse. A giant hollow shaft in the center, known as a light well, would remain open, allowing sunlight and air to reach the lower floors, keeping the space bright and well ventilated. Residential areas, offices, cultural spaces, and commercial zones would be arranged around this central shaft, while the topmost underground levels could preserve and showcase historical artifacts. Concrete beams would tie the structure to the perimeter walls, forming a rigid and stable pyramid. When built correctly, this inverted structure becomes incredibly strong. Triangles efficiently distribute pressure. The walls hold back the soil. The piles support the weight. Sunlight reaches the lower floors, and the surface remains fully usable as a public plaza. So the question is, should we build earth scrapers? Should humanity embrace an underground future? We already live in a world where it takes $700,000 to own a tiny flat in Paris, where commuters in Tokyo get physically pushed into trains, where young families in London rent one-bedroom apartments for the price of a house in Texas, where slums grow vertically because land cannot. Maybe the problem isn't that cities are crowded. Maybe the problem is that cities are one-dimensional. We keep building outward and upward, but beneath our feet is a whole unexplored dimension. Finland explored it. Japan engineered it. Ancient civilizations used it to survive. Mexico imagined it. And maybe, just maybe, Earthscrapers could be our next evolution, because the future is not about copying what the world is doing. It's about seeing what others ignore and turning that into an advantage, whether it's a nation using its geology or a person using their strengths. Innovation always begins when someone dares to ask a different question. Just like Mexico asked, if we can't go up, why not go down? And don't forget to subscribe.